I'm Allison Johnjack, the Cranberry Outreach Specialist with the University of Wisconsin-Madison Division of Extension. These videos are the on-demand recordings of UW Extension and the Wisconsin State Cranberry Growers Association's virtual brown bag lunch series. These monthly sessions offer growers and researchers a way to share timely and relevant information. We hope you'll enjoy and continue to engage with us.
Hi, I'm Tom Lochner, the Executive Director of the Wisconsin State Cranberry Growers Association. We're excited to be a partner with Extension to bring you research-backed resources, tools, and tips to keep Wisconsin marshes productive and profitable.
So that said, welcome to our December, National Roundup brown bag session. We started these in May when we first were wishing we could meet each other in person and wanted to get research shared. And we've been having them all year, focusing on Wisconsin research. We thought for December we'd want to have a little broader reach and be able to hear from some of the other exciting research that's going on in cranberries throughout North America. And Extension, University of Wisconsin-Madison Division of Extension has been, providing me to help out with these. And the Wisconsin State Cranberry Growers Association has been kind of the leader and champion of the idea. So I want to give Tom a minute to say hello to everyone.
Well, good afternoon and season's greetings, however you're going to celebrate the holidays and the end of the year. We hope you enjoy it and do it in a safe and, somewhat healthy way. But first of all, just thanks to Allison for organizing this. Her and Alex have worked very hard on this. This is our final brown bag of the year. One of the things that we've learned through this process is that while we all would like to be meeting in person, this does gives us the opportunity and the flexibility to provide some quality programming to people, not only here in Wisconsin, but across North America, which is what we're trying to do today. We thought we'd invite people in from the other growing regions to hear the information as we expand to learn more about what's going on outside of our state borders, and as my good friend Brian Wick referred to it as shrinking the industry. So this is something that we're going to be continuing into 2021 and beyond. It's a great tool for us to use. It never replaces getting together face to face, but it does provide the opportunities to exchange some information over an hour without a lot of travel. So we're glad you could join us today, and we thank Allison for putting it together. Just one quick reminder is that the Wisconsin Cranberry School will also be virtual this year, and we'll be conducting that on the 27th and 28th of January. If you're interested in attending, I know information has gone out to Wisconsin growers, but if growers from other regions want to join us and learn more about the program, they can contact the Growers Association office or get a hold of Alex Skowinski or check our website out at www.wiscran.org, and you can get the information for registering and participating. So with that, thanks to everybody for joining us today, and I'll turn it back over to Allison.
Thank you. So with an awful lot of really exciting cranberry research going on throughout the world, we wanted to have a lot of information, but still wanted to give people enough time to speak meatily. So we've got three people here with us today. We've got Peter Jaranyama from UMass, Cesar Rodriguez-Sauna from Rutgers at the Mariucci Center, and then Jim Polishak at the USDA ARS. And we're going to hear a little bit about spring frosts, since that's been a important question for a lot of our growers this spring. Starting off with Peter, and I can let us get right into the meat of it. So Peter, if you'd like to share your screen, we are happy to hear what's been kind of the most exciting things in your research.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be a part of this brown bag meeting, especially sharing the center stage with Jim Polishak and Cesar, my good friends from Rutgers. I thought this afternoon I could speak to you on our experiences with the issues that we've had here in Massachusetts. I'm also going to talk about a research experiment that I've been working on for the past 2 years on determining optimal nitrogen fertilizer end rates for second generation hybrids. And these hybrids are mostly the Rutgers cultivars that I'm talking about. So as far as the spring frost is concerned, the issue here is when do you start monitoring for spring frost your buds. We have several models that we've been working with, and two of them actually, they come from you guys in Wisconsin, and we've had to use that. But as you know that as far as plant growth, temperature is the most important driving factor in terms of plant growth. And we're using the growing degree model, and we're using a base temperature of 41 that you use there in Wisconsin. But the third model that we use in Massachusetts is a model that was developed by Ivan DeMoranville. We just call it the D model, and it uses a base temperature of 44 degrees Fahrenheit. And as you may also know, that cranberries will also require a day length of 13 hours. That is a long day before it resumes to grow. So that is to be factored in the process of developing these models. I know most of you know how to calculate growing degree day models, but let's just review it in simplicity here. Growing degree day model will be equal to T minimum plus T max divided by 2 minus your base temperature, and in this case, base temperature being 41. And on the slide, I've indicated some of the, when we obtained 100 growing degree days for previous years. In 2017, we obtained 100 growing degree days on the 16th of April. And in 2018, it was on the 26th. But interestingly enough, in 2020, according to these models, we obtained that in May, which also begs a question to say, are these models being accurate in so doing? So here I'm showing those three models, which I call the D model, which uses a base temperature of 44 degrees. And then the Wisconsin 41, which is the simple model, which uses a base temperature of 41. And then the Wisconsin complex, we call it the Wisconsin complex model, which uses a base temperature of below 41 or 41. It's also an 86, 80, 41. In other words, if your temperatures are above 86, you don't accumulate any growing degree day. So according to our monitoring, when you start to monitor for the D model, you start on January 1st. This of course is not, it's not the most ideal, because you would not have arrived at a 13-hour day length. But the 13-hour day length was obtained on the 7th of April. That's what we started to monitor for the simple Wisconsin and the complex model. So then when did we, according to each model, when did we arrive at 100 growing degree day? For the D model, it was the 1st of May. For the Wisconsin simple model, it was on the 2nd. So there's somewhat an agreement between the two models, the D model and the simple Wisconsin model. But when you look at the complex model, we obtained 100 growing degree days on the 21st of April. So there's like a 9 and a 10-day differential there. So of these three models, which of these models are saying the truth? We'll find out. So when we started to compare over the past years, from 2017 to 2020, there was a general agreement in terms of when you arrive at either 90 or 100 growing degree days. In 2017, 2018, and 2019, there's a general agreement across the three models. But when it came to this year, we did have, yes, an alignment between the D model and the Wisconsin simple, but not so with the complex. And because we also monitor the phenology of the buds, the phenology of the buds was such that it was mostly in alignment with the Wisconsin complex model. The reason being that this was a very unique spring for us. The day temperatures were somewhat warmer than normal, and the night temperatures were very cold. So if then, say for instance, let's give an example. If the day temperature is 60 degrees and the night temperature is 20 degrees, so if you add 60 to 20, that's 80, and you divide by 2, you get 40. And if you subtract 41, you get a negative. So you're not accumulating in the D model or in the Wisconsin simple model. But when it comes to the complex model, you accumulate growing degree days because it doesn't penalize the low night temperatures. So you tend to accumulate. So the complex model was more accurate in terms of telling us when to start to monitor. So this spring, our season was 67 days. It started on April 10th and it ended on June 15th. And of those 67 days, 27 days were non-frost days. And 40 of those days were either a possible frost or a dangerous frost. So speaking of a possible frost, this will be nights where if certain conditions are met, say if a cloud cover is no longer there, or if it stops, the breeze stops blowing, then you get a frost. So for most growers under those possible nights, probably the rain between 8 and about 12 days of those possible. And of course, the dangerous frost here, it includes the very dangerous and the dangerous. So I would say a bulk figure will be the frost nights were about 30 or so days. And 30 days, that's almost a month of you running your sprinklers, and that's a lot of water because the frost was almost every other day. And as a result of that, a lot of water resources were used in the process. And here I'm comparing precipitation patterns for the past 3 years. And the blue bar shows the rainfall that was received in a particular month in 2020. As you can see that the spring times, we did have adequate rainfall. But when it came to the summer months like June and July, we were in a drought situation. Our 2020 rainfall never caught up to the records that we received in 2019 and 2018. As a result, because we're running every other day, most folks, they used up most of their water resources, to the extent that some could not even harvest at the end because they didn't have enough water, or even some could not even frost protect in the fall because there wasn't enough water in their reserves, because they'd used the water to either irrigate in the summer, because in summer also they were irrigating every other day because it was so dry. As a matter of fact, in July, we received only ½ an inch of rainfall. And that's the time when the plants require the rainfall, and also high heat. There were some instances where we had to do intermittent cooling to protect against the high heat. Moving on. So in terms of frost monitoring, what we do is we collect, after a frost event, we collect buds from a transect, maybe about 100 buds, and then we bring them to the lab, we slice them under a microscope, and we examine the damages that would have occurred. As a matter of fact, when we collect the buds, we let them lay for a day or two on a lab bench so that the injury may set in, and then we assess under a microscope, then we can score. And we came up with a scoring mechanism here of 1 up to 5, 1 being a perfect bud with no damage, 2 being a bud that is 1 or 2 floral initials, usually 1 or 2 floral initials that are damaged, and 3 where the vegetative buds initials are damaged, and 4 where both vegetative and florals are damaged, and 5 is a totally dead bud. So in other words, if you get 1 or 2 floral initials damaged, this is not the end of the world. As you can see here, there are several floral initials. Actually, a cranberry bud has about 4 to 6 floral initials. So if you have 2 that are damaged, you can also have the extra 2 or 4 that can go on to flower. Here I'm showing some results at one of the sites that we monitored in Middleborough. And this is a collection at Bud Swell. Anything green here is good. So a greater green proportion in my bar means the cranberry buds are good. But any other color, it means it's a damage. But of course, 2 floral initials is not that threatening, as I mentioned that 2 or 4 others will flower. But anything, all florals or any dead results in economic injury. So We did have, yes, some injury, but it was not big enough to cause an impact in terms of the yield from just the frost. Okay, so I want to talk about the fertilizer nitrogen trial that we're having for the second generation hybrids. In this, our objectives are to develop nitrogen rate curves for the second generation. And here I'm talking about the red gas cultivars, the DeMoranville, Crimson Queen, and Mullica Queen, and also come up with any relation between N rate and fruit yield and any vegetative dry matter growth, that is the runners and uprights. We're also interested in evaluating the field fruit rot that would occur with different fertilizer N rates, and ultimately also to have a sense of fruit quality in terms of titratable soluble acids, firmness, and tases. So the problem is we do know the N rates for the natives and the first generation, but the second generation hybrids, I've often heard Nick Vosa saying that you can push as much nitrogen fertilizer as you want, but how much how far can we push them? Is it 75? Is it 100? Is it 150? Is it 200? Is there a cutoff where we can stop? So we did come up with 7 N rates. In a split plot kind of a design where N rates were subplots and cultivars were the main plots in an RCBD at state box. So this is replicated 4 times. So the N rates that we came up with are 0, which is no fertilizer nitrogen, but all the plots they received, the recommended P and K. And the 40, which is the farmer control, 50, 75, 100, 150, and 200. Pounds of N per hectare. Somebody might say, hey, why did you go that high to 200? We were just interested in pushing them to a place where we are nuking them, really, where we see them, you know, not giving you anything.
It's not an experiment if you're not breaking it on both ends, right?
Yes. So the cultivars that we use are Howe, Stevens, and the first generation, of course, Stevens, and the second hybrid is Crimson Queen, DeMoranville, and Mullica Queen. And when was this fertilizer applied? The first application was done at leaf production, which was, for us, it was around June 8, and we used 13 pounds. This is like the application on the control. Subsequent nitrogen rates were applied in form of urea so that we don't reapply P and K. So that our last application was of 9 pounds in August 3. Okay, this just shows you the what happens when you put 200 pounds in terms of your vines, of course. Just coming to the results, because I know others have to present. Here I'm showing the fruit yield in barrels per acre across the 7 reds. And what is very interesting to me here in Mullica Queen, we can see that you can push up until maybe about 75, then you start getting a decline. And others, you don't go very high, like with House at 40, you start getting a decline there. DeMoranville, maybe around between 50 and 75, then you get a decline. So there's a tendency of a decline as you increase your N rates, of course. What about the biomass? This is just the runners and the uprights. As you increase the amount of nitrogen, you also increase the amount of runners. And to what expense? Of course, this is to the expense of the fruit yield. As we see that at higher rates, you get less fruit yield, but more of the biomass. But what about fruit? Fruit rot? As far as fruit rot, as you increase the amount of N, you're also increasing the amount of fruit rot in all the 5 cultivars. As you push the amount of nitrogen, you also got a higher N rate. I think I'll stop here. Of course, there are other things that I could have said, but I think this is enough for us in the interest of time.
That's really fascinating. I think it's really cool to see the impacts of the all the way up to 200 pounds there. We did have a few questions. So for the questions, we had one on, in Wisconsin, we've been doing a lot of the longitudinal dissection method when checking for frost, as opposed to the equatorial. You cut the tip of the bud off and just see the flowers. We have a lot of times been doing a vertical or longitudinal slice, and that way we can also see what's happening at the bud axis. Are you guys looking at doing anything like that as well?
You know what? No, we haven't been doing that. Probably something that I need to be looking at.
Okay.
No, we've been doing it cross-sectional.
I think it'll be neat to be able to do kind of cross-national comparisons, and I'm looking forward to the longitudinal for that. I had a question on in the slide with bud damage, 3 or 4 of the hybrids showed red or frost damage. Are we seeing different levels of hardiness among the Rutger hybrids?
Yes, in a way, but I didn't present that data here. Yeah, they are, but I cannot say specifically because it's in a different presentation.
Okay, so that's something we can watch for and follow up with Peter after. And then also, does the complex Wisconsin model account for the plants reacclimating to the colder temperatures under 41 when we're considering growing degree days? Or do we believe that we're not reacclimating to cold temperatures in April and May during bud growth?
The fact that it allows a wide range of base temperature and in a way, I think it does account for reacclimation, but not totally, no. I mean, but at least it allows those base temperatures that are lower than 41.
Okay. And then another question on the nitrogen tests. Was there any correlation between the fruit firmness and the percentage of fruit rot? And then also, how was firmness affected by the highest nitrogen rates? Did you look at fruit quality in those tests?
Yes, we did. We did look at fruit firmness and so forth. It looks like at higher rates, you sort of like soften your fruit somewhat. I don't know why, but we're still also analyzing that data, the fruit's firmness and correlating it with fruit rot and even the yield.
Okay. I want to hand things over then. Thank you so much, Peter, for both the spring frost information and the multiple rate nitrogen on the 2nd generation hybrids. Those are exciting and very useful directions of research for all of our growers. I also want to, so thank you for presenting.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate people holding with us through the 1 o'clock hour, but this has just all been so fascinating. Peter and Cesar and Jim, all 3, and of course all of the institutions that you represent, all of the growers throughout the hemisphere, taking advantage of this knowledge. So any further questions? I will go ahead and stop the recording then, and thank you guys all for joining. Thanks again, as always, to the Wisconsin State Cranberry Growers Association. If you're interested in being on my invitation list for these going forward, feel free to email me. I've got my address there, allison.johnjack@wisc.edu, and look forward to seeing you in the new year, and have a wonderful Christmas and upcoming Cranberry School.